Hi, my name is Keisha Mitchell. In September 2021, we had a virtual Healing Vessels forum, and we recorded it, and I'm happy to share it with you now.
This is the 2021 Healing Vessels Youth Forum. This is our 10th annual forum. It started many years back, but came to Wilder Foundation in 2019. And that is when we switched it to the Youth Healing Forum. The purpose, I want to reiterate, is on mental health, discipline, adverse childhood experiences, accountability. So we hope you will enjoy the day. Here is our agenda. We will start the day with a self-defense and emotional care by Tim Blaylark, and he will introduce his person who will work with him and show you self-defense moves. Then we will move on to the mental health panel with the Minnesota Vikings, Dr. Bronnell Mack and William Moore. Then we're going to take a break. Then we have Irreducible Grace Foundation, who is going to do spoken word and some artistic stories by BIPOC youth on healing through trauma. Then we will end it out with yoga, the essence of organic movements by Anissa Bilal Cockshell. Then we will adjourn. Again, this is being taped. We will also follow up after we do the taping and send it to high schools to get their feedback and survey. So I want to welcome Tim Blaylark.
Thank you so much, Samira. My name is Tim Blaylark. I am the head instructor of Bear Path Martial Arts. This is my partner today, Tessa Waginki, and we're going to go over a few things. First, we're going to go over what is self-defense. Then it will be how can I apply it both in school and on the street? And then how is that tied to my emotional well-being? So first things first, let's talk about what is self-defense. Self-defense is anything that protects you, the person, and sometimes the people with you, such as your loved ones. Awareness is a large part of what self-defense really is about. A lot of people talk about awareness, but they're not necessarily defining it for you. Awareness is about being aware of your surroundings, being aware of people and their moods when you're out and about, but also being aware of how you affect other people. It's very easy sometimes to point the finger out, but not always easy to point that finger in. Just because you know how to push a person's buttons doesn't necessarily mean you should. Now, in school, self-defense honestly should be done with open hands. Why is that? Well, we live in the age of cancel culture and cell phones and cameras everywhere. The visual of a closed fist is very, very difficult to defend as self-defense. Those of you who have seen fights in the lunchroom or you've seen altercations in the hallway, you understand that. But equally as important, when you're talking to a person that you claim to care about, if your fists are bunched up, it's very hard to relay a message of care and of love. Right? They might not be saying or doing the things that you want them to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you should be making a closed hand. And then lastly, how is that tied to your emotional well-being? First off, sometimes defending yourself is totally about getting away from people that are emotionally abusive. Somebody who doesn't care about your feelings as much as you care about theirs. Other times, it is about getting away from people who are physically abusive. And that doesn't always have to be a stranger. That can usually be somebody that you know, and they think they know you a lot better than they probably do. Lastly, self-defense is, in an emotional standpoint, is also about setting a healthy boundary for yourself. How far will you not let a person go? And it's okay to set that boundary. A lot of times, the only people who don't want you to set boundaries are the people who are benefiting from you having no boundary. Some things that Tessa and I are going to do is we're going to show you some physical things, but we're also going to show you how to verbally set some boundaries, whether it is guy on guy, guy with a girl, two girls, it doesn't really matter. Boundaries are boundaries, and they're necessary. Remember, if you don't think enough of yourself to set a boundary, then other people are not always going to take your better interest at heart, okay? Because your boundary is not their boundary, just the way it is, okay? And sometimes those boundaries, you not setting them, can lead to things like unwanted touch. Mentally, they might be talking down to you, telling you that you're nothing. They may be calling you out of your name. They may be telling you that you're unattractive. Right? They may be calling you fat or something of that nature. Right? And then they always want you to feel bad about yourself because they typically need to control you. You're trying to talk to them about something that's really important to you, and they keep making fun of you. Well, that's typically to get you upset, keep you from standing up for yourself because you're too busy yelling and screaming and cussing and sometimes fighting, and you never really got the issue resolved. All right? So first things first, let's go into something physical. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is talk about what would we do in school, somebody grabs your bag or grabs your hair. If I grab Tessa's bag and I'm like, give me your bag. Mm-hmm. Okay, she captures the hand. All right, so first, the reason for capturing the hand, that is so the people watching can see that this is not me being aggressive. She's just defending herself, right? She hasn't hit me, she hasn't kicked me, she hasn't done anything that would imply that she's the aggressor. Next, she's going to twist. Boom. And twist back. Push away. Get your hands off. Okay? One more time. I come up, I grab. She captures. She twists down, she twists back, she pushes away. Get your hands off. That verbal piece, you have to speak. You can't just push away. You have to speak. The people watching, especially administrators, they need to know you've set a boundary and that person is violating that boundary. Next, I come up and I grab her and I'm like, hey, right, she's not going to fight that pressure. She's going to walk backwards, throw the arm in the air, wrap around, and again, she can push off me. Keep your hands to yourself. Okay? That's big. Let's say instead of the shirt, I grab the bag or the hair. It's still going to be the same process. Here, she takes me off balance, she pushes away. She didn't hit me, she didn't kick me. From an administrator standpoint, we understand that that is self-defense. Okay? What about if I come up and I swing it, right? She's going to do a baseball catch. She's going to catch it, boom, right? She can drag my arm across. doesn't need necessarily hit or kick. She just needs to make sure that she's safe. That's self-defense. Okay? I punch, boom. She can grab, she can pull, or she can push. That's self-defense. Okay? Now let's say we're outside of school. Because that's a reality that we have to live in. Sometimes you're outside of school. That's a different ballgame. Why? Because human trafficking is a real thing. Some of you have met or talked to or encountered individuals that you know at your age group who are experiencing it. Maybe they're being exploited. Maybe they have a manipulative boyfriend or girlfriend. But that is a real thing, right? Sometimes people are trying to set up other people. You've seen that online. Any person who thinks that it's okay to show you pictures of another person and they're compromised is not your friend. Okay? Because if they will show you pictures, what will they show about you? You have to consider that. Okay? All right. So same thing. I'm going to punch. She's going to grab. Now she can knee me. She can use her elbows. And then grab and pull to the floor. Okay? This doesn't have to be anything. You notice that's not fancy. That's just direct. One more time. I punch. She knees. She elbows. She grabs. Pulls to the floor. Okay, for my young ladies, or even if you're a slight of no guy, your job here outside of school is not to turn into John Wick. Your job is to get away. Okay? You're all about escape. Why? Because what we say in my trainings is that there's always a weapon, you just haven't found it yet. And a lot of times those people have friends, you just haven't met them yet. And everybody has seen what it looks like when somebody gets jumped in the hallway. And it's even worse outside of school, because now there's nobody to jump in and stop it before you get booted to the head. That's not a possible. Okay? Next. Again, we're outside of school. I grab her bag and I'm like, give me this. She comes down. Now she can kick or knee me, but depending on how far away I am, now she can twist the arm over. She can go to the floor. Grab, kick, twist, going to the floor. Because her job is to get away. She's not trying to arrest me. She's not trying to look cool on TV. She's just supposed to get away. Okay? Now let's talk about this stuff. Grabbing from the back. Grabbing the shirt, grabbing the hair, grabbing the bag. This happens a lot with a lot of young people because everybody pack. Or they might have on a hoodie or something of that nature. All right? And dealing with somebody grabbing the hair, or grabbing the shirt, grabbing the bag, and the hoodie is all the same. I grab this, she's going to step back, turn. Notice what that does to my arm. She'll kick the leg because I'm bigger than her. She wants to chop down the tree. Now she can get away. I grab the hair, she captures the hand, steps back, twists up, kicks the leg. Now she can get away. Let's say I have the bag. All right. So I grab, I pull, she wraps the arm, she kicks the leg, and she can get away. I grab the bag and pull, she wraps the arm, kicks the leg. Now she can get away. Notice that everything is very simple, very direct. Don't do anything fancy, because I promise you, under stress, you won't do the fancy stuff. As much as it looks cool on TV, It looks great in the movies. In real life, if me, the particular guy, is grabbing onto her to take her with me, she has to get away. Don't waste time. Now, we gotta do this, right? All right, so she has two arms on one arm. She gets that chin down. Before I get a choke, she's gonna step on the foot, step out. Now, what you guys can see, and Tessa loves to do this, is that when I get here, she pulls down. Notice that she pushes her butt into my leg, that bends me over. When she twists down and in, she actually can hit me with her elbow, right? Right in the ribs. That way, when she spins out, she got distance. If I want her, I have to chase her. Okay. Now, we've done some physical stuff, but let's talk about situational awareness. She has her back to me. She's walking. She feels me. Right? She has a couple of choices. She can speed up. She can walk across the street. One of the big things that Tessa does when she's out by herself is she will walk across the street and walk back. Why? Because that proves whether or not that person's really following you. Because most of the time, if they're really following you, they'll follow you across the street or they'll wait to see if you come back over. You can articulate that. Okay? You're able to put that in a police report. That's what articulate that means. Now, let's have a different discussion as we're doing situational awareness. She's aware that I'm there, right? She doesn't wait till I'm here before she starts to act. She does that when I'm here. Notice that she confronts me. It is okay. It is not unladylike to confront someone that you feel is either following you or bothering. That is what we call setting the healthy boundary verbally. Okay? She's also doing it physically with her body language. Notice that she's not flat to me. She's in a stance that allows her to kick me if she needed to. Or if the kick wasn't there, she could punch me or knee me. Right? She can open her hand and push my face if she's not a big puncher. Right? A lot of young ladies, they don't feel comfortable hitting someone, especially a guy. That's okay. Your open hand works just fine. All right? Open hand to the chin. Open hand to the ear. Those will work. Another one that most people don't talk about, open hand to the neck. Okay? That will work if you feel somebody is becoming overly aggressive. Okay? Now, that works whether she's standing, kneeling, or if she were to be on her back. Let's say somebody threw you in the back seat of a car. All right? Pump the legs like a bicycle. Boom. Okay? If I go to move, there, now she can pull me over. She can kick me in the face, all of those things. All right? There's no such thing as just because you got knocked out, you are a victim. To become a victim is a choice. The only thing that makes you a victim is your unwillingness to fight back. Your unwillingness to step up for yourself. Don't get me wrong, it's possible to stand up to somebody and still lose the physical fight. Nothing wrong with that. Especially up here, right? Because anybody can get beaten in a fight. I don't care the biggest, baddest guy in your room right now. Anybody can get beaten in a physical fight. It's any given Sunday. However, just because it might look like it doesn't mean that you will lose. You have to figure out if you have more fight than they do. And that's not just a physical fight. Remember, I said situational awareness. Situational awareness is mental and emotional. Mental and emotional. If I'm talking down to her, hey, you stink, you smell like women, and then all of a sudden she's like, no, you can't talk to me that way. That's her physical boundary. Setting that physical boundary by saying, no, you're not going to talk to me like that, and having the body language to back it up. She has just redefined the entire relationship between me and her. And somebody doesn't always talk to you the way you want them to until you say, you're not going to talk to me like that. And notice that her body language backs up that statement. I'm not running from you. I don't care that you're bigger than me. You're not going to talk down to me. You're not going to disrespect me. She didn't have to actually hit me or kick me to make that happen. She had to stand her ground and speak her words, speak her truth. And that's a big thing. You have to be willing to speak your truth, even to people who might feel physically intimidating. Okay? All right. So, she's noticed that I follow her. She stops, turns around, she confronts me. All right. She's got a couple of weapons without ever having a knife or a gun or anything like that. She's got a couple of weapons. Her bag is the weapon. Right? She can use her phone as a weapon. She can use her keys as a weapon. One big thing that I'm always a big advocate of when I teach is a flashlight, right? Because she could shine into my eyes. If it's nighttime, she could shine into my eyes. That gives her a second to get away. I'm seeing spots right now, trust me. She can also, she could strike with me. All right? She could bing, right? I always advocate for young people to have a mini flashlight on their keyring. If you're going to walk around at night, or especially during the wintertime, you want to make sure that if you're driving, you want to flash your light in your car. Make sure nobody made it into your car before you get into it. Even flashing underneath your car is okay to make sure nobody's hiding underneath your car to pull on your leg. Okay? There's also, like we did here, you could, if I grab her, boom, she could hit that and hit here, and she could make me let go. And that didn't require her to be stronger than me. That's a huge thing. It's an equalizer. Because remember, her job is to get away. Her job is not to be John Wick 5. Right? She's here to make sure that she gets back to the people she cares about and who care about her. That's a huge deal, guys. Part of self-defense is recognizing that you are valuable. And you are valuable to someone else. Whether it's your family, your friends, your whole group of friends. Everybody understands that sometimes, even if you don't feel like your biological family is family, your group of friends are your family. And if they are your family, then that means you should fight to get back to them so you can tell them about it. Right? Now, let's go to the other side of this coin. The other side of this coin is, how much can I do? Tim, if this guy comes up and he's bigger than me, does that mean I can break his knees? No, not all the time. I'll tell you why. Let's reverse this. I have the weapon. Okay? Now this is different. I'm bigger than her and I have a weapon. Now, boom. Yeah, she could probably step on my ankle and break it. She could throw knees. That is acceptable under the law because that's self-defense. It's about how you say it. So how do you say it if you had to call a cop and say, this person, I stepped on his ankle and I broke it, and this is why? Well, first things first, you can only match, because we talk about use of force all the time now in the news, yes, but we don't talk about how it applies to us in the street. Okay? I have no weapon, and I attack her. She can throw me to the ground. If I hit my head and I go into a coma, the likelihood that she's going to jail for that is a lot lower. Why? Because I'm bigger than her and I'm coming at her. But let's talk about the other side of the news that nobody likes to discuss. What happens when she's attacking me? I'm the guy, right? I'm the guy. I got the crazy girl attacking me, and I can't go get off. That's not acceptable, right? what do I have to do? I have to be the person to just focus on it and get away. Guys, there's nothing wrong with that, guys. I know you might feel unmasculine in the moment. There's nothing wrong with that. Why? Because, especially as minority males, we cannot escape that our coin has two sides. And being upset about it, being bitter about it, does not solve it, guys. You have to be intelligent about it. So to be intelligent about that means understanding where your boundaries are and how to enforce them. If you got the crazy girl hitting on you and she's wailing on you, you need to get away as far away as possible, have nothing else to do with that person. I'm going to tell you why. Because if you go back after that, you have now authorized that treatment. You have made it okay. And that's a bad thing. Ladies, if you have a female friend and she's hitting right on you, if you set a boundary and she's doing that, it doesn't matter that you're both girls. You need to get away from that person because that person is okay with violating your boundary physically. They're also okay with causing you physical harm. That is not your friend. You are not just playing. That is not your friend. Okay? As the guy to the girl, it doesn't matter how cute she thinks I am. It doesn't matter how much she may care about me. If we're supposed to be dating and I'm putting my hands on her, she's going to listen to what I got to say, that is not acceptable. It's not. Part of use of force is self-control. Either you're going to practice it or you're not. All right?
You're a blockhead.
Can I hit her in the mouth for calling me out my name? No. Guess what, guys? No matter how much you don't like it, that's not against the law. She could talk crazy to me for the next hour. It's still not against the law. So therefore, I can't smack her in the mouth. I can get tired of it. But guess what? Part of that is on me, guys, because I stood around for an hour listening to it. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Girls, you love calling each other out each other's name. You love the B word. That's all fun and games until you haven't paid attention to that person's mood is changing. That's also situational awareness, right? So if her mood is starting to change and the hands go on the hips or she starts folding the arms, she is clearly stating that she's no longer okay with the conversation that we're having verbally. Still situational awareness. You still need to be aware of when it has changed and when you may need to back away. You might be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to talk to you tomorrow. If you're online, you're in the chat room, and you're calling each other out each other's name, that's probably a good time for you to log off. Skip the goodbye, that's probably a good time for you to log off. Right? Now, everybody always asks me, why is all of this necessary? The necessity of it is you are training to be young adults, right? And in the adult world, I'm going to be real with you. In the adult world, I do this. I can go to jail for 5th degree assault. Okay? Because I'm a guy grabbing a woman. All right? And everybody saw me grab this woman. Some of you guys are really big on, come here. No. No. The reason why is because big person pulling on little person, to the person who doesn't know you, and we know each other, but to the people watching, you're the bad guy, no matter what. I'm not holding her hand. I'm like, This, no. Guys, get that out of your resume. You got to knock that off. It's not acceptable anymore. Okay? Ladies, just because he's bigger than you and you don't like what he's saying does not give you the green light to slap that person in the mouth. It doesn't. Because that too is still fifth degree assault. Still is. It's just a matter of society doesn't normally like to let him press charges on you. Weaponizing your gender is bad because it wrecks things for other women further down the road. Right? You don't know if you slapping that man, boom, he might not slap you back. But now 3 girlfriends later, he will. Because he felt disrespected. All right. So, when I talk about situational awareness, if you notice, there is the physical, she knows I'm following her. There is the mental, where she confronts me, sets a boundary, both verbally and physically. But there's also the emotional. You don't get to treat me that way. You don't get to talk to me that way. And that goes both ways. Everybody always makes it seem like it's always the guy who's the bad person and forgets that in today's age, it is everybody. Everybody deserves a boundary. If that's your personal truth and you set the boundaries, then we all, as a community, have an obligation to maintain each other's boundaries. And if you don't agree with that person's boundary, just don't deal with it. In the adult world, guys and girls, as much as you might not like somebody, that will not prepare you for the times that you might have to leave a position. You might get fired from a position just because you didn't agree with what they had to say or who they are. That won't always protect you from having to work with that person. You might deal with a supervisor that says, I don't care, I need the job done. I don't need you guys to like each other. I just need you to respect each other professionally long enough to get the job done. That is a big part of the adult world. If you're becoming young adults, some of you are young adults, whether you're taking care of family members or whatever it may be, and you don't really see yourself as a kid. Well, if you don't see yourself as a kid or you don't see yourself as a teenager, then you got to act like you know. Acting like you know is taking responsibility for your actions. Okay? Everybody thinks it's cool to be an adult until you have to be one. Whether it is paying bills, whether it is respecting boundaries, whether it is setting boundaries. Everybody loves to be an adult until they have to be one. Okay? All right. So let's talk about, let's say we're outside of school, or we could even be in school. Somebody has a baseball bat, they have a stick they found in the park, right? So they swing it at you, boom. All right. So in school, you could just grab, twist, turn, quit playing. All right? And I say this knowing full well that some of you guys like to stab each other with pencils, because I've seen it. Okay? Even if I did this, right? She gets out of the way of the pencil. She can grab it, twist it, whatever she wants to do. But at least she's not getting stuck in the hand with the pencil. Those of you guys who think it's funny to stick somebody in the hand with a pencil have clearly never had that pencil stuck in you. Because it's not fun, and it's not a joke. Yeah. All right. Anytime a person will stick you with a pencil or an ink pen, that is abuse. Period. That is abuse. Set your boundary, and if that person continues, get away from them. Okay? Now, here I am, I have to stick, and we're outside of school. So she gets a different set of options. Yep, she gets the knee, she gets the elbow, right? Okay? Because her job is to get away, but her job is also to look for if I have friends. Remember I told you, there's always a weapon, you just haven't found it yet. They always have friends, you just haven't met them yet. And you can't walk around the streets like you can't get jumped, because we all have seen people jump. So we know that truth, right? Now, next part of situational awareness. She sees me walking up to her. Notice that she gave herself space. She didn't wait for me to get all the way up on her. I start walking, she sees my fist clenched. She creates space, she gets away from me, right? Because she might not be my target, but she could make herself my target by not being willing to move out of the way, okay? I'm here, I walk, she gets away, okay? See how simple that is. Some of you don't understand that there's a time and place for standing your ground. That doesn't always mean it is that one, right? You stand your ground if you're tired of me following you. You can do something real simple. If you feel a person's following you and you're on the street, walk into a store. Stay in the store, look out the window, see if that person is still there, see if they follow you in the store. You can talk to the people behind the counter and say, hey, this person's been following me for 4 blocks. Could you either A, call me a cop, or B, can I make a phone call from here or something like that? Can I sit here until, my friends or family come to pick me up? 80% of the time, they'll say yes. Okay? Now, let's say I come up behind her and I go, right? She's still going to capture. She's going to kick my legs. She's going to knee me. Boom. Okay? Simple stuff. Keep it simple. When in doubt, if the person is bigger than you, keep hitting until you get away. Keep hitting, stepping on things, meaning things until you get away. Now, I also got to do this, because everybody always asks me that. Okay, so she's gonna notice that, right? So come back for a second. The choke works like so. The choke does not work quite so well when she turns. Okay? Now she's stooped down to take my balance. When she stands back up, again, the choke works as long as I can get my thumbs around her larynx and squeeze. All right? She's not going to be strong enough from right here to get my hands off her. So what does she do? She turns. She takes the choke away. And now when she comes back up, okay? Now, granted, some of that is I'm too silly to let go of the neck. My ego won't let me let go of the neck because I'm supposed to be stronger than you. This is not supposed to be happening, but it is. All right? And this, it doesn't matter if she was standing, kneeling, or on her back. Same principle, right? So if I grab here, she turns, but she kicks me as she turns. All right. If she's on the ground, she can still kick me to prevent herself from getting to the whole wrestling. No woman really wants to wrestle with a guy bigger than her. No small person wants to wrestle with a person bigger than them. So start with preventing the wrestling match altogether, right? Right, okay? Prevention is just as much self-defense as the big fighting moves that look so cool in the movies. Prevention is boom. Now, why would a person end up down there? Wintertime is coming, ladies and gentlemen. If you slip on the ice and somebody's messing with you, you have to respect the fact that you're on the ice. But so are they. So if she pushes, I could fall over. All right, that gives her a chance to get away. Another thing about if you get to one knee is how does one safely get away. So you don't move into me to get up. She sees me coming, she's gonna scoot back. And notice how she keeps her balance underneath her, all right? As she gets up, she's prepared to deal with you. There's a right way to get away and the wrong way to get away. Her trying to get up and come into me, I'm just gonna hit her, right? But she made more space, right? Boom, okay? So these things matter when it comes to, if I get knocked down, boom. She can kick me, she can knee me, she can just push off me, and all of those things help her get back up, okay? Now, physically getting up is directly tied to mentally and emotionally getting up. You've all had a bad breakup. You've all had something happen in your family. You've all had a scenario where you didn't feel like you measured up. As much as people would like for you to be a perfectionist, as much as people would like you to be A+ every single time, you are also human. And because you're human, that means that mistakes are part of living. There's never going to be anything wrong with making a mistake. What's wrong is how you recover from the mistake. Okay? So how do you recover from the mistake? Hey, Mr. B, I kissed somebody I shouldn't have. Maybe I had relations with somebody I shouldn't have. Maybe I called somebody out of their name and I shouldn't. Well, the first step is change the behavior. Sometimes that person may not accept your apology. That's okay. Change the behavior. Do something different. Once you know different, do different. If you had a bad conversation with somebody and you were the person who started the conversation or let it get bad, then it's up to you to try to make that right. If you can't make it right, then give that person their space. And the next time you talk to them, don't talk crazy to them. Right? Because that's how that argument got started, that disagreement got started, that fallout got started, was because you talking crazy to people. And a lot of the time, that had nothing to do with the person you were talking to. That's what happened before. Maybe you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe you had an argument with your mom before you went outside for school. Whatever it may be. Don't take out your aggression on somebody else and then act like it's their fault. Guys, you can't do that. You can't. We have a responsibility to each other. If you say you're my friend and I say you're my friend, then we have a responsibility to each other to recognize when the other person is off, or whenever I'm off, I gotta check the way I talk to people. Right? I gotta check the way I play with people. If I see my buddy and my buddy's having a bad day, maybe that's not the day to be playing around. Right? If my friend had a bad breakup with their significant other, that's probably not a good time to joke with them about their ex. Right? That's probably not a good time for me to be buddy-buddy with their ex, especially in front of them. You got to recognize that you have a responsibility according to who you say you are. Not according to who I say you are, but according to who you said you are. If you said you're my friend, then there's some things you should or should not do, period. To add to that, everybody wants to say who they think they are. Please remember that living up to your definition of you is far more difficult than living up to my definition. It is. Because when you talk about your definition of you, that's about who you see in the mirror. And if your actions don't line up with who you see in the mirror, you have to do differently. Don't spend time judging yourself too long. Don't spend time beating yourself up. Don't let other people beat you over the head with what you did wrong. Just do differently. There's always a reason to quit. More people are afraid of success than they are of failure. Why? Because with success, people's expectation of it rises, and you're not sure you can handle the pressure. You can. You can. Don't self-sabotage just because failure is easier. Okay? All right, guys. We spent good quality time. I want to thank you for hanging out with me and Tessa for as long as you have. I hope you learned something. I hope that if nothing else, you got something physical, if you didn't get something mental and emotional. Again, my name is Tim Blalard. This is Tessa Genki. We're from Bear Path Martial Arts. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I did not expect that well of knowledge. It was spiritual, it was realistic, it was reachable. And so I really thank our guests.
Hi, my name is Keisha Mitchell, and I am the event producer, and I would like to introduce us to the Minnesota Vikings Forum.
And good morning. It's a pleasure to join all of you today. As Samira said, I'm Bronnie O'Mack, psychologist who serves as the Director of Community Mental Health and Wellness for the Wilder Foundation. And I'm also working as the team psychologist with the Minnesota Vikings. And we're really in for a treat today. You're going to have a chance to have a dialogue with a few of our players. And of course, they're exceptional athletes. I've had the good fortune to see them perform at such a high level throughout their careers. But I also know that they're even better people than they are football players. They conduct themselves with tremendous intelligence and dignity and grace, and they are constantly looking to make a difference in the community, and they're here in that spirit today. So with that, I will pass the baton to the players so they can introduce themselves. And guys, if you could just share your name, how about where you grew up, kind of a little bit about your background, and how long you've been with the Vikings. We can start there. And then I have a few questions I was going to pose to the players, and they'll kind of chime in with their responses to those questions. But we also want to assure there's time for you to ask questions of the players as well. They're wide open, very thoughtful young men, and they'll have a lot of enlightening things to say, I think, along the way. So why don't I go over to Anthony first? Anthony, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Yep. Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Barr. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Grew up with a single mom, raised in my grandparents' house with a few of my aunts and uncles. And I came to Minnesota in 2014. I've been here since. This is my 8th year currently with the Vikings. It's a pleasure to be here. Honored to speak with you guys for a bit.
Great. Thanks, Anthony. Wonderful to have you here. We have BC Johnson on the line as well. BC, can you hear us?
Y'all see me?
Yeah, we hear you.
You hear me?
We got you.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, my name is BC Johnson. Originally from Lakewood, Colorado. I got with the Vikings in 2019, so this is my 3rd year. Unfortunately, I tore my ACL this year, but we're working to get back for next year. So I'm excited to be here, excited to talk to y'all, and let's get going.
Thanks for joining us, BC.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, I can't see all of the participants. Do we have other Vikings players on the line yet? So far, Anthony and BC. Okay, great. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead then and pose some of the discussion questions one at a time. The first one is hopefully an easy one. So tell people how those who knew you as a teenager would have described you. What were you like back then growing up?
I would say I was a little more quiet when I was younger. Um, I mean, I was always like the football guy and everything. But people knew me as a hard worker and everything like that. I was charismatic, enthusiastic, but I was a little more shy, I think, than I am now. So yeah, that's definitely how people thought of me back then, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, BC. How about you, Anthony?
Yeah, I think I was an active teenager, in terms of I always want to be doing something. Got to be out and about, either with my friends or at family gatherings, going to the movies, obviously playing outside, whether it's sports or what have you. And as I've gotten older, that's kind of chilled out some. I'm a little more of a homebody these days. I like to just kind of keep to myself and hang out at the house. Watch the games, watch some movies. Obviously, still enjoy going out to dinner and hanging out with my friends in that type of setting environment. But I've definitely calmed down some since my younger days.
Yeah, it's interesting how we evolve over time, right? The people who knew us then may hardly recognize us now in some ways. Looks like we have Alexander Madison on the line. Alex, can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Alexander.
Hey, how's it
Thanks
going?
for joining.
Of course, glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, we were just kind of getting started here with some introductions. I'd asked BC and Anthony to share a little bit about where they grew up and how long they've been with the team. So we'll have you start there too.
Yeah, so I'm Alexander Madison. This is my third year with the Vikings. I grew up in San Bernardino, Southern California. So, grew up in an environment that was kind of not really the best situation. Had my fair share of ups and downs as I grew up, and through God's grace, we're here today, living out the dream, and in my third season. So it's a blessing.
Okay. And then the first question, Alex, that we tossed out to everybody was, how would people who knew you as a teenager describe you? What were you like as a kid?
Um, I would say people would probably describe me. I was pretty introverted as a kid. Even through high school, I never really was the outgoing type. In certain ways, I could be, but I definitely was more introverted. Stuck to school, football, and all the other sports I played, and I really didn't do too much outside of that. And now I kind of grew out my shell a little bit more, but definitely was more of an introverted person.
Okay, okay. Thank you. All right, so the next question starts with a few facts. So, over 1 million kids in the United States participate in high school football, and only about 1.5% will be drafted by the NFL. Even fewer than that are going to make a team, and an even smaller number will play for 3 or more years in the league. What do you think has allowed you to make it in the NFL? Let's start with Anthony.
I mean, I think it's a few things. I think one you got to realize it's now a job, right? And this is your livelihood, and um, it needs to be the priority. You got to keep it the main thing. So I think everything I've done, I mean, not everything, but just about everything I do on a daily basis, it has football in mind. Like, what am I eating today? What kind of rest am I getting? Am I drinking enough water? Um, and then it's also surrounding yourself with people that support you because this game it's a tough game, man. It's brutal on your body, on your mind, especially. So it's surrounding yourself with the right group of people, whether that's family or friends, that keep you grounded, that allow you to be yourself, but will also check you, and tell you, hey, you got to you don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of yes men that just patting you on the back saying you're doing the right thing all the time because if you're enabled, and you're going to continue to be enabled, you're going to you're going to trip up sometimes. So I think it's a combination of having that passion, that personal drive that comes from within, surrounding yourself with the right people, and understand that this is now a job. And while it's fun and it's a kid's game, it should be. You obviously want to have fun with it, but you got to understand this. It's a job now, and you got to approach it like so.
Yeah, that's powerful, Anthony. How about you, BC? What's allowed you to make it at this level?
Yeah, I mean, like Anthony said, I think surrounding yourself with people that support you and check you when you need to be checked. I would say like family was my biggest support in order to get to where I wanted to be. And then I also think it's just about being ready for that moment, right place, right time kind of thing. So preparing yourself off the field, whether that's in school, education, things like that, um, and staying out of trouble too. Because I mean, you never know when you're going to get your opportunity, whether or with the NFL and things like that. So you just got to prepare yourself to be ready for that moment at any time. And I think that's what allowed me to be where I'm at now. And I just took advantage of those opportunities and right place, right time.
Great insights. Thanks, BC. How about you, Alex? What's allowed you to thrive in professional football?
I think for me, definitely a lot of the right support system. Like Anthony said, you got to surround yourself with people that have the same goals in mind, and having those friends and that type of family support can definitely push you past some of the different adversities you might face. And for me, it was really never giving up, no matter what adversity came. Just understanding God has a plan, and just continue to prepare and do the work for when the opportunity presents itself. You step right through that door, and you run with it. And so for me, just putting myself in a position where, coming from where I come from, it doesn't happen very much, if at all. Um, you don't see it happen often that people make it out of the city. So for me, I was really determined, and just kind of using that as fuel, using my family as motivation, and my future family as motivation as well, is something that has helped and has driven me to be able to come the player that I am today, and put me in the position I am today.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah. So for all of you, as you look back at your life in football, and I know for probably all three of you, you started at a really young age. What do you think are some of the skills and abilities that you've learned from the game that you've been able to apply off the field to help you achieve things that were important to you in life in general? Toss that to Anthony here first again.
Yeah, I think some lessons that translate, obviously, is handling adversity, handling tough situations. Obviously in the situations in the game where things aren't going right. Um, you give up a couple touchdowns early, you're down by a bunch early. Are you just going to sit there and kind of sulk about it? You're going to try and fight and dig your way out. And I think that's kind of a metaphor for certain situations in life. If you have a bad day, a bad couple of days, you lose your job, um, you know, X, Y, and Z could happen at any given moment. How are you going to respond to that moment? I think that really defines us as people, in moments like that, and in adverse situations. How are we going to overcome? How are we going to respond to them? And then, I think another lesson that I've learned, is just being calm in kind of stressful situations, and that happens a lot on the field, a lot in meeting rooms, a lot on practice field. There's a lot of chaos going on out there. You know, there's bodies all over the place. There's people screaming all over the place. But can you remain calm? Can you remain centered in the moment at that point in time? If you're able to do so and kind of control your situation, control your environment, that allows you to thrive. And I think that can kind of translate to real life situations as well.
Very much so. How about you, BC? Lessons learned from football that have helped make you a better person?
I think I would say it's kind of cliche, but um, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, kind of stepping out of your shell sometimes. I mean, when your team or a player needs kind of a leader, or somebody to talk to, I would say I didn't really lead so much. I was a lead by example kind of guy, but sometimes you guys need that vocal leader who can kind of step up and help them, guide them. And that's one of the big things that I've learned in football, and I've carried throughout my life. And then I think, as well as that, like I said, leadership. That's a big thing in society and in football that you need. I think football translates to society in some senses, and you can take a lot of these skills and apply them to the real world because there are people who need leaders at times, and you just got to be able to step up.
Well said. Thanks, BC. And Alex, how about you? How has football prepared you to be a better, stronger person?
I think it's prepared me in so many different ways. A lot of different parts of my life is very well related and connected to football, and that's through discipline. Having like a blue collar mindset and work ethic. Those things are really something that I learned through football, starting at a young age. It was always hard work and kind of being able to maintain that balance and time manage and all the different things that we have to do in life as an adult with responsibilities. It's something that you learn early on through football. And definitely, like Anthony said, overcoming that adversity. When adversity strikes, you're gonna lay on the ground and pout about it, or you're gonna get up and do something about it. And going through injuries and different scenarios in football is something that is probably the prime example of overcoming adversity, and one of the best ways that you can learn how to do so. So that's definitely something. And one thing I learned in college that really stuck with me was E plus R equals O, and that's event plus outcomes. Event plus response equals outcomes. So, you know, whatever happens, how you respond is gonna, determine that outcome of that situation. So that's something I really learned through football and handling all the different things.
Thanks, Alex. So with this next question, all of you have touched on this a little bit already, but I'm hoping to get into a little more detail for fans and people kind of looking at what you do on the outside. It looks awfully fun and glamorous on game day, and I know you guys look forward to being able to get on the field and to do your thing in front of so many people. But there's a ton of preparation that goes into that week to week, month to month, and everything that you have to put in during the off season to get yourself ready. Um, Tell everybody more about what you do almost on a daily basis to prepare yourself, physically and mentally to be at your best on the field. Anthony, you want to take that one first?
Oh yeah, I mean, a day in the life. Our weeks kind of start Wednesday is kind of the Monday. Unfortunately for myself, I haven't really been able to participate much on the field recently, just because I had a couple injuries that's kind of kept me out, and that's been real tough. I think this year has been more difficult than last year, just given the circumstances. But a day in the life, typically a Wednesday is like I said, kind of the preparation day. The game plan's installed. You wake up in the morning, you get your breakfast, you get your workout in if you choose to do so in the morning. Head to meetings, go to offense defense meetings, kind of get the rundown on the opponent you're facing for the week. Install some new plays. From there, you go to like a walkthrough, which is where the plays are kind of come to life on the field in like a slow motion type environment. Kind of see what the offense is going to run, the plays that they run that week, and then from there you got lunchtime. Finish lunch, you go back to meetings again, continue to watch tape, continue to scout your opponent. Then you hit the practice field. Practice for 2 hours. Finish that up. Then you got more meetings. Obviously, you got to watch practice as a team, correct your mistakes from practice, um, and then you kind of off. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depending on what you kind of do after that. And that's a Wednesday. Thursday's pretty similar to Wednesdays, and then Friday's a little, kind of a half day. In terms of it's shortened, you got a little more time for recovery, a little more time to get your massages, your acupuncture, see you kind of your body specialists at the hot tub, the cold tub, your stretching, your icing, your lifting again. And Saturday's a travel day, whether you're on the road or at home. Obviously not traveling too far if you're at home. You get to see time. That's the day if we're at home, I like to spend time with the family, kind of catch up with them. And then Saturday night, you go to the team hotel, you watch some more tape, gather as a team. Sunday you play. Monday and Tuesday are just really recovery days. So that's a kind of a watered down version, but There's a lot that goes into a week. And it's really hard to win a football game in the NFL. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it. So it doesn't matter who the opponent is. Getting a win is big.
Yeah, I think it was one of the most eye-opening things for me when I started working with the team, just the sheer amount of time and energy that goes into your craft. It looks awfully easy, I think, in some ways as an outsider, but the kind of dedication that all of you bring to it is really astounding. BC, how about you? Some things that you're doing to prepare yourself physically and mentally to be at your best as a player?
Yeah, I mean, football's really a full-time job. Like Anthony was saying, you're in there from like 7 to 4 or 5 on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And then obviously it tapers down a little during the week. But the other thing is like keeping your body right, whether that's nutrition-wise, eating right. I do some meal preps with a girl who does my meals, and just to keep my body right and for me to be able to come home and not really have to think about what my next meal is going to be. I have it prepared, and I know it's good for me. And then also what goes into that is like things like acupuncture, massages, working with your chiropractor. Like these things are weekly things. Like I'm going to massage on like Tuesday, then I go to chiropractor on Wednesday. And I think that's our bodies are our biggest asset. So you got to keep that right. And then also keeping your mental state right, because I go and talk to Dr. Mack, maybe once a week if I can fit him in and things like that. But that's really important because you can keep your body right, but if your head's not right, you're not going to play well on Sundays. And then also Sundays is the fun part. You go through the whole week because practice is basically work, and then Sunday is just the benefit of all the work you put in through the week. So that's kind of how I get there.
Thanks, BC. Alex, how about you?
For me, they hit it right on the nail. Just doing everything I can to take care of my body. Mondays I get a massage. Tuesdays I get acupuncture. And then I do some stretching, hit the sauna, and really try and take care of my body throughout the week. Hit the steam room, hot tub. Um, it's really every day of the week I'm doing something to make sure I get my muscles and everything right. And then just taking time to just disconnect. For me, throughout the week, I'll just throw my phone to the side and I'll get back to someone if I need to get back to them. But it's important for me to just kind of step away from things for a little bit and just be able to have some time to myself. Go sit outside with my dogs or do something where I can just really have some time to myself and breathe and get some uh, lightweight meditation in. And that's kind of really how I take care of my body and my mental.
Yeah, Alex, I remember when you first joined the team, one of the things that stood out to me when I first started to get to know you a bit was how you worked on the mental side of things, that you had a meditative practice and what you said about E plus R equals O. You've been pretty schooled in how to take care of your mind. Can you say a little bit more about how that originated and how it became important to you?
Yeah, for me, it really started off probably when I didn't even realize it in high school, maybe just kind of going through the process of being like that golden child on campus that has offers from schools, and there hasn't been a kid to go to college in the 21st century from that school, and so um, just kind of having that pressure of trying to be what everyone expects you to be, having a 4.6 GPA and trying to maintain that, and AP classes and dual immersion. And so, I'm doing all of these different things to make sure that I'm doing things right and trying to get out and make it out for my family. And then going off to college, it really isn't, it's making it out, but you haven't really made it. You're going through the struggles of being a college student. Um, and then sending money back home to help my parents for my scholarship, and all those different things just piled up and piled up. And losing friends and losing some family members along the way. And, there's just some hard times, injuries on top of injuries, and the wrong times where you feel like, okay, this is my time. And then an injury happens. And so just a lot of that, not really ever addressing it and not knowing how to address it. It really kind of weighed down on me. And I really think the realization was going into my sophomore year. Uh, there was some injuries. I lost a couple friends that summer, and uh, money was starting to become an issue. Car was breaking down, and there was a point where I was just trying to fix everything, and I didn't know how to, but I was trying. And it came to a point I just kind of let go and let God, and I just um, that's when I began my research. That's when I began digging more heavily into mental health practices and figuring out a way to where um, I'm having less stress on myself, less stress on my body, and be able to kind of cast my burdens out into into the world and not necessarily on my back. And yeah, it's been a long journey. Another stepping point for me was Tyler Helinski. That year we played them, and that was really tragic, and that really hit me hard as well. So that really all started my journey as far as mental health awareness and becoming someone that can really hone in on my own practices and help others.
Thank you, Alex. Okay. Your response leads us well into the next question here. Is kind of a heavier one, guys, and one I know that all three of you have been thinking about a lot. But as rates of depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, and suicide have kind of skyrocketed across the world during the pandemic, a lot more focus has been placed on mental health. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced over the course of the pandemic, and what are some of the important lessons you've learned along the way? We'll hand that over to Anthony.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of in that right now. It's in battling through just a tough mental state, um, where it's just the inconsistency of each day has really it's kind of taken a toll on me. And obviously, I missed all last season. It was very isolating in terms of not being allowed to be with the team in meetings and not being allowed to travel. That kind of that sucked. But I understood the situation. I understood it was COVID, so I think I was a little more understanding. And then I worked really hard to get back to a place where I was able to play and able to participate again and be the player that I expect myself to be. And I think that's one of the issues that I place so much value of my self worth as an athlete that I kind of forget that I'm capable of so much more. And so when that's kind of taken away, it kind of leaves me feeling kind of empty and um, just kind of desperate in terms of like searching for something to kind of replace that lost that feeling that I have. And that's where I'm at right now. I haven't been able to play this season. I've been injured again, and some days I feel good, some days I don't, and that's just it's been tough. But like I mentioned in the beginning, surrounding yourself with a really strong support system is important. And I think I have that in my family and my teammates, my friends, people that care about me more as just an athlete, and reminding myself that I can accomplish so much more in this world than just playing football. And while I'm not ready to let that go, and while I'm still want to be a great player, that I can't just place all my value and look at myself under one microscope. And so I'm working on that now. It's not easy, and it's been a challenge, but I know there's a journey and there's a reason for all this. I'm not going to give up by any means, but just trying to keep things in perspective a little bit and understand that there's more to life than what I do now, even though it doesn't really feel like it at the moment. And just trying to take it day by day, keep fighting, keep battling, and I know if I do everything I can on a daily basis, I can live with the results. And I think that's where I'm at right now.
I appreciate you being so candid there, Anthony. And one thing your comments bring to mind is that the greatest show of strength often is allowing yourself to be vulnerable and to recognize that you can't be superhuman. Nobody can really do it alone, and being able to utilize your support network and make sure that you're kind of rounding out your life experience, that you are much more than a football player. You're a human being with tons of talents and interest, and you deserve the opportunity to develop in those different ways as well. And it's important, I think, for young people to realize that your football career is relatively short, and getting prepared for the rest of your life is something that you're doing right now as you're playing. It's just another one of those responsibilities that you're carrying right now. Looks like we've had Eric Kendricks join. Eric, can you hear us okay?
Ken, what's up,
All
man?
right. Well, welcome. It's good to have you. We did some introductions at the very beginning. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then the guys also talk a little bit about where they grew up, kind of a snapshot of their background, and then how long they've been with the Vikings. So you can go ahead and take it from there.
Okay, what's up? My name is Eric Kendricks. I'm originally from Fresno, California. I went to college at UCLA with Anthony, actually. But yeah, I grew up with a lot of siblings. There's 7 brothers and sisters total. So I'm big in the family. Also, having those siblings in my life, definitely helped me out when times weren't as good. So yeah, now I'm playing for the Vikings. This is my 7th year with the Vikings, and that's a little bit about me.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Eric. BC, how about the pandemic question? What's it been like for you? What have you learned along the way, and what has kind of stood out as important to you as you're going through this thing?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it quite a bit so far. Is that just finding your support system was really big for me. And there's really no one way to do it. It's kind of trial and error. You gotta figure out what's right for you, whether that's family members, counselor, friends. There's something different for everybody that'll make them comfortable and make them feel good. But yeah, the pandemic was hard. I feel like it was doing this all the time. It was Zoom calls with your friends, with teammates for meetings. Like it was weird. It was really weird, but you just had to adapt, kind of, and that's kind of what we talked about as well, is like facing adversity. Like that last year was definitely facing adversity for us. But you kind of had to take it head on. There wasn't an excuse to, there you couldn't make it an excuse because everybody was dealing with it. Everybody had to get through it somehow. So, like I said, just finding out what's right for you was the biggest thing. And then, I come into this year after we go through a COVID year, and unfortunately, I tear my ACL and I'm out for the season, which I don't think I've ever been out for a season before, a whole season at least. I mean, I maybe missed a game here and there, but it's different, and I have to adapt. But I think, like Barr said, like it really makes you realize, you're not just a football player. You can do so much more than just being a football player. There's so much more to life. There's so much more to you personally. I think that the silver lining in my injury this year is kind of that I have to be forced to kind of figure out what I want to do, what else can I do, what else is there out there for me, and that's what I've been going through this last month or 2 months so far, just kind of figuring out what works for me, because I go in for rehab. It's consistent, but I guess there's that. It's like I'm uncertain about what the future is, but it's different than what I expected this year to be for me. And just dealing with that and kind of figuring out what works for me is what I've been trying to figure out the last month or so. But it's going well. I mean, it's hard at times for sure. Like I was at the game on Sunday, and I mean, I love to go out there and watch them, but it's hard for me not to be out there on the field. The fans are roaring for the first time in a year and a half or whatever, and it's like it's exciting. The energy's there. So just being able to support my teammates and be there is exciting, but it's also tough. So dealing with that has been interesting, but we're figuring it out.
Okay, appreciate that, VC. And to be frank, I'm not surprised that you are trying to better yourself now that you're injured and away from the team. You've always struck me as a person who wasn't going to settle for wishing for things to be easier, that you kind of shift quickly into making yourself better. I think you have teammates who do that as well. You know, we're running short on time. I think we only have about 4 minutes or so left. I wanted to make sure that Alex had a chance to weigh in on his pandemic experience and some of the lessons learned along the way.
Yeah, for me, I'm glad that I was able to kind of be in a position where I started dabbling with being in different lanes early on. So that definitely was it for me, where I was finding out different things that I wanted to do. I ended up starting to do a little bit of music last year. So I've been doing music. I started my brand. Um, and there's just been a lot of different things that have been going on outside of football and that have helped me realize that although football is my passion and I love it, there's a lot more life after football. And being able to kind of start that young, is something that really I've kind of grown to understand and learn through the whole pandemic, being at home and being with family, something that I also really valued during that time, being able to try new things, go kayaking and different things like that that I normally probably wouldn't go try um, with a day-to-day schedule, a training schedule away from home and stuff. But yeah, the pandemic really helped me get closer and value different things and really learn how to, be in different lanes.
Thanks, Alex. And thanks to all of the players for being so generous with your time and your thoughts today. We're all very grateful, and you provide us with a number of glimpses into who you are beyond football players. You, of course, excel in that aspect of your life, but all of you are flourishing in things that you're doing off the field, and you're people that the community can be proud of. Just shining examples of how to be a good human being and how to make a difference in your community. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can hear
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, you guys, this is Samira Valero. You really can't see me. I want to thank you so much. The history is that the Vikings made a donation. I don't know which one, but if it was one of you, thank you so much. We promised that we were going to use the funds in a very helpful way to our community. And this is it. You four are awesome. And I hope we can continue with this relationship. If people want to know why African American Babies Coalitions and projects are in partnership with the Vikings, it's for exactly what you shared with us today. From a mother's birth, from her prenatal, until our young people become strong gentlemen like you, I'm humbled. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thanks, Samira. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and bring this portion of the agenda to a close. And again, I think I speak for the entire team. We look forward to being able to partner with Wilder and this program in particular. I see abundant opportunities for us to be helpful to each other, and this is in many ways just the start of that.
Hello, we're the Irreducible Grace Foundation. First, I want to show you a quick video about who we are and our origin story and how we got started. Check it out.
I am proud to say I have a voice and I know how to use it. Irreducible grace. We laugh and play, but it's more than amusement. Here's a space where I can be brave. Take deep breaths to calm down my brain. Learning tools and fun ways that get through to me. So I go back and school my community.
IGF Kids is a place to learn to calm your body down with music, breathing, and mindfulness.
Mindfulness? What's that?
You'll see.
Hello, I'm Dr. Darlene Fry, founder and executive director of Irreducible Grace Foundation. I'm here to share some pretty exciting news with you. Our young people have been working on 25 videos, a series of tools and skills to help calm the body in moments of chaos.
I'm here.
We're here
to teach you guys about a tool that helps the body calm down. Things like breathing and moving.
This work is called
IGF Kids!
IGF Kid Tools are taught by kids for kids.
Inhale, reach out. Exhale, back to our heart.
This series of videos were informed and infused with life experiences of our racially and culturally diverse young people. This crew shares the emotional vocabulary.
Stress?
Yes, stress is all that built up negative energy in our system that we just have to release.
The biological roots.
Why do we pay so much attention to the belly?
Well, in our belly, there's a special nerve called the vagus nerve, and it goes from our belly to the brain.
And demonstrate the mindful movements needed to restore balance.
Exhale, hands down.
IGF Kids animated series are short animated films that tell a real story and teach breathing tools.
Now please, go upstairs and get in the bath. The food will be ready soon.
No, I'm hungry now. I want to play with my toys. My mom got really mad. We walked over to MJ and...
Irreducible Grace Foundation leaders have been trained in mind-body medicine techniques. These techniques help us to deal with our emotions, our frustrations, and our trauma triggers. Being able to understand what's going on in our bodies and have skills to counter that when needed is the highest form of self-regulation. Children had the incredible ability to grasp these skills and restore their emotional balance.
You can use this tool during distance learning or when you get frustrated and need to calm yourself down.
We also know kids teaching kids tools and using animations offer kids, teachers, and families skills to help with their tension and anxieties. This series of videos is visually reflective of the people in our community, people of color.
So now that you know who we are so excited to share with you what we're currently working on with our young people. They range from the ages of 14 to 25, and it's called Vibe, Value Your Breath. So this video, take a look and understand how you value your breath.
Vibe check!
Vibe check!
B.
Why?
B. Do you value your breath?
Do you value your breath? Do you value your breath?
Vibe is a series of interactive videos where you will learn
wellness, mindfulness, and breathing.
As we exhale, we're gonna say belly. We're gonna do this for a minute, so I encourage you to follow along with us.
Vibe is
safe space,
mental health, healing justice,
transforming trauma,
serenity, therapy, creativity,
expression, breathing,
meditation, mindfulness.
Mindfulness simply is a practice of moment-by-moment awareness.
As a part of your subscription, you will receive monthly videos, handouts, and more.
Why Vibe?
It's another option. We know how to yell. We know how to fight. With these tools, we can unlearn our painful ways and replace them with healing.
Regardless of who we are, we all face stress and trauma. It happens. It's a part of the condition of being human.
Vibe is for people who want to make change.
This is very useful for whenever you feel overwhelmed or anxious. It's designed to shift trauma that lives inside us, so it's great for calming down.
Authentic, honest youth voice.
The Power Hug is a tool that I use to help me release any energy, excitement, or frustration.
Vive can help us heal from systemic racism rooted in education. It helps us bring energy and willpower to battle the painful reality of it all.
During this series, we've been focusing on finding the pause between a trigger and a response and making a choice about how to react.
So check us out and let us show you how to
Value your breath.
Do you value your breath? Value your breath. Hear the voice deep inside. When you feel the stress creeping your chest, breathe it in, then let it all out.
IGF stands for success. Take a breath, release your stress. Inhale in that oxygen and breathe out all the rest.
We breathe in,
catch a vibe, value your breath. Take a risk, just say yes. Get to know how you can grow and be yourself the best.
Hello, everybody. I'm Natalia Davis. I'm the artistic director for the Irreducible Grace Foundation. I've been doing this work for about 8 years now. And so we're all going to introduce ourselves and let you know a fun way that we take care of ourselves, okay? Because this is about self-care and self-discipline today, all right? So a fun way that I take care of myself is by jumping in the trampoline with my children and playing tag. That's what I do. And I'll pass it to Ruth.
Yeah, so my name is Ruth. I have been with the Irreducible Grace Foundation now for over 4 years, and I'm actually the IGF Kids coordinator. So a lot of those videos that you get to see out there are things that you'll be talking to me about, which is exciting. And what I do to take care of myself is I love to listen to music, but a genre that matches my mood at the moment, right? So if I need some hard rock, I'll listen to that one day, some rap, hip hop. And I love my Latin music, so you'll hear me banging anything from reggaeton to banda, whatever it is that I need to get that emotional expression out there. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to Sania.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sania, and I'm an IGF facilitator. I've been with IGF for about 3 years now. I went to University of North Florida in Jacksonville, and I recently got my certificate in diversity, equity, and inclusion, so I'm excited about that. Something I do to take care of myself, I like to sit in my bed and binge watch TV shows, specifically reality TV with popcorn and sparkling water. It's gotta be sparkling because it makes me feel fancy. So I'm gonna pass to Moises.
Yeah, hi, I'm Moises. I'm 19 years old and I've been with IGF for about 1.5 years at this point. A fun way that I take care of myself is I like watching scary videos with my little brothers because I can see them look terrified, and then sometimes I'll make a joke about whatever we watch and then they'll laugh, and then it'll just make my day every single time we do it. It's one way I take care of myself. I'll pass it to Kylie.
I'm Kylie. Something I do to... I already forgot the question. Take care of yourself.
So Kylie, tell us what school you graduated from, how old are you, and something you do to take care of yourself.
Okay. I graduated from Washburn High School. I'm 20, and something I do to take care of myself is art projects such as like crocheting and painting, because I'm not good at it, and it's more fun to do things I'm not good at than things I'm already naturally good at.
Thank you, Kylie. Yeah, so we are your facilitators for today, and I have to say, we feel honored to be here with you to participate in this event focused on self-care and self-discipline. Today, we hope to foster trust with you as you get to know us. We want to leave you with some self-care practices that you can implement into your life at home, at work, and at school. During these times of great change, a pandemic, a struggle for racial justice, we understand being healthy is an everyday thing. Self-care is an everyday practice, and we will share mind body medicine tools with you that currently help us get through these tough times as well. So not only are we leading you, but we're healing with you. We're on this journey together. We will begin by fostering trust so you can get to know a little bit about us. We use poetry to share our stories. We use art to teach health and wellness, and Ruth is going to share an art share with you that she wrote in order for you to get to know her better.
Yes. So like I said, I'm not very new to IGF, but when I first was introduced to the Irreducible Grace Foundation, I did not consider myself a writer or a poet by any means. And it was difficult for me to sometimes put some of my emotions on paper. And through IGF, I was able to find ways to express those emotions that I was feeling in a way that I could put them on paper. And now I will say that I do consider myself a writer, so I'm really excited to show you the very first piece that I wrote that introduced me not just to this work, but to a method of healing some of the things that I was living through. Not every teen mom gets to marry her baby daddy, much less pick the right guy from that lot. And I committed all those same offenses, but luckily wasn't the one that got caught. I also loved my life of drugs and was just fortunate not to get addicted. And having a baby at 15 isn't typically the way you fix it. I shouldn't have survived all of that the way that I did, and leaving that life behind without scar as well. God forbid. I fought so hard just to be here, but when I look around, none of my old friends are near. I thought that they would follow me, so we could all get out of there and finally be free. See, I'm getting all educated now, right? I'm gonna be all smart, because I'm gonna get all them riches them white folk have. I'm gonna make sure I get my part. And I can learn a little bit about why things are the way they are, and then maybe we can change it together. Couldn't possibly be that hard, right? Don't worry, I won't start to change or forget where I came from. This is all for you anyway, and I'm gonna make sure to give y'all some. This is what family does, right? We do what it takes to make life better for each other, because look, we fought all the time over the petty, over the small. Everyone was an enemy, and we found a reason to fight them all. And I'm really sorry I don't rock the bandana with the same pride. It's just, I learned it wasn't a badge of honor, just another place to hide. I remember what it meant, and it's something I will never forget, but selling out our sister and brotherhood for a gang, I will always regret. Tell me again why trying to do better became such a taboo, when all along my intentions were to help all of you. Tell me how those battles got all of our energy, how we were so blinded by that version of victory that was such a crappy forgery. I'm learning so much stuff though, like sociology, how our problems stem from systemic oppression and racist ideology. I even figured out that our problems aren't a simple psychological diagnosis, but part of a society that profits from all of our repeated correctional visits. I finally learned that about the school to prison pipeline, and how the victims of it are your people and mine. I even learned how they try to blame everything on teen mischief. But when someone points out how they share responsibility in unfair policy, they gasp in disbelief. And y'all think that we're the only victims of the problem caused by a single story, while we deny how our biases of others also made our vision blurry. And now and these books won't give me every single question or answer to every single question. Because a lot of what we live day to day, these books will fail to mention. Like how much it costs to patch up the holes in the wall, or to replace that shattered glass from that drive-by they did last week looking for my dad's dumbass. Or how to cope with historical trauma and our daily fears, or why we gotta wait till college to learn about our Latinx, immigrant, and indigenous peers. Or how we can stop the police from always thinking we're so damn suspicious, just because our loud rolled R's, baggy dickies, and flannel shirts will never be inconspicuous. And I can't just let them keep us trapped in this vicious cycle so that you end up repeating it, because the next generation, including my son, depends on it. At some point, I knew that leaving you would be tough, but I knew that I had to say enough is enough. I know a lot of what I say today falls in an empty ear as we mourn the loss of yet another homie multiple times a year. So why am I doing this? Why do I want to work with youth? Can I give you the simple answer I'd give in class, or do you want to hear the truth? It's not just because I think this profession is noble and great. It's not just because I think any alternative career would probably be something I'd hate. And it's not because I have a naive notion that I think I can stop more blood from being spilt. To be completely honest with all of you, this is the only thing that will ever soothe my survivor's guilt. When I first wrote that piece, I think I still suffered a little bit with the survivor's complex and also a savior's complex. This idea that I was going to save everybody else in my neighborhood from the things I'd endured. And when I shared this piece recently in a few different workshops, I was confronted by someone who said, "What was that last line you said again? Can you please repeat it?" Oh my God, that spoke to me. That's my lived story. I know exactly what you mean. And then another woman came up to me and said, "I recorded this and I want to share it." And both times I felt so violated. And I didn't know why until I had spoken to some of my peers so that I could think about it. And it turned out it was because these women were white. And I knew deep in my core that the portion of it they took with them was the portion of me that might have written it the day that it really came out of me. But it wasn't the part of me that really feels the survivor's guilt. The part of me that genuinely feels this isn't the part of me that thinks I'm more special than the people I left behind, that I'm smarter or harder working. The part of me that suffers with this guilt is knowing that every single person that didn't make it to where I am today could have made it here, should have made it here, and could have probably aspired to something greater than where I am. It's the notion that I am not the exception to the rule, that I am not special and overcame statistics. It's the fact that these statistics were always against every single one of us, and every single one of them deserved these opportunities as much as I did. That's the guilt that I don't think they resonated with. They walk around with the guilt of always having opportunities. And I walk around with the guilt of knowing they deserved them just as much as me. With that being said, it's kind of hard not to stay heavy after sharing something like that, so I would like to do a tool, and I'm actually going to teach you the simplest one we have, and it's also one of our favorites because it's the easiest one to learn. The whole point of this is that we're always asking you to breathe, and you're always going to wonder why I think I'm teaching you something different than what you already do constantly to stay alive. And it's about slowing it down. So this tool is called Smell the Rose and Blow Out the Candle. And all it does is forces you to slow down on that inhale as you smell that delicious rose that you're imagining, and you slow down that exhale as you blow out a birthday candle that doesn't just go away with the simple exhale, right? So if you put your fingers up to your nose with me, pretend that this is a rose and take a deep inhale up into your body, and then look at it as a candle and blow it out. You should be feeling pressure on your index finger as you do that exhale. Again, inhale, smelling that rose. Exhale, blowing out that candle. We're going to do it 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. You might notice that you feel a little bit lightheaded after that. Maybe you don't notice a difference, and that's okay because it doesn't always happen right away. All of this comes with practice. But this simple tool activates a nerve in our belly called the vagus nerve. With that inhale and exhale, it sends a message to our brain that we are calm, that we are safe, and that we can move on to the next thing of the day. So thank you for practicing with me.
Thank you so much, Ruth. At this point, I hope you have a pen and paper near, and I would love for you to just jot something down that stands out to you that Ruth said. I know for me, when she talked about not being special, but and everybody around her that did not get to where she was, they also had the opportunity to get here, and they were just as special. You know what I'm saying? So not that she's not special. She is special, and they are special. You are special. And yeah, so that's what stood out to me. Anybody else, anything stand out to you about her piece?
Something that always stands out to me is the part where she mentions the idea that we can be someone who, we'll find the solutions to the knowledge we gain, and through those solutions that we read up on and we research on, that if we just implement them, things will be fixed. And the fact is, they could be fixed just by implementing them. It's just the people that can implement them don't want to. And it's just not as simple as bringing the solution up, because people just don't want the solutions. And that, it astounds me.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Thank you for sharing, Moises. Yeah. Anybody else want to share?
I like the section of sarcastic and rhetorical questions that that, you know, we think of but like never ask, or like there's not a space to ask this question. So it just makes you like really think about those situations that you're in, because there's no one talking about it, we're just living through it.
Yeah. Cool. Sania?
I don't have anything to add.
All right.
I like what you guys have to say. Okay.
Thank you so much again, Ruth. And yeah, so I am going to turn it over to Moises, who will also, again, we do art. He's going to share a piece that he wrote, and he's going to teach you another breathing tool that you can add to your toolbox for self-care.
Cool. Hi, I'm Moises. I'm 19 years old, about a month away from 20, and I have no idea when adult is. I come from a chaotic family structure, but chaos that I'd say is full of love. And when you look at me, you see my beard, my heavy brows, and my crazy hair. And I'm trying to style it, it's just not working out. Something that you don't see is my childish nature and my uncharacteristic love for fantasy. And something that stresses me out is the news. Every time I turn on the news, I'm confronted with the reality of my skin. That I can be killed because of my color, because of how I look. That I didn't have the face of innocence anymore, but I'd somehow gained the face of a threat. Every time I'm reminded of this, I feel afraid. And before, that fear would just build up inside of me until it became dread. Dread that something inevitable was coming. I tried to run away from this feeling by going into books, to fantasy, with heroes and villains, with kings and queens and dragons and magic, and it just wasn't enough. Nowadays, whenever I feel this way, I breathe. I breathe to shift this unwanted negativity inside of me to create the space I need to enjoy the books I love. The tool that I've gotten used to using when I'm alone and this feeling starts rising up inside of me is called praying hands. And that's the tool I'm going to teach right now. Praying hands is a mindful movement tool. It's the way you move your body relative to the energy inside of you. It can be negative, positive, but just that feeling that won't let you settle down and be where you need to be, how you need to be in the moment. The way I use praying hands is I put my hands palm to palm at the center and chest. And when I do that, I like to imagine that I'm clasping onto a rope or a cord of some kind. And that cord is attached to the icky thing that typically bothers me. And as I take my inhale and I bring my hands up, I pull on that rope as hard as I can to get it out of me, and then I exhale, easing on that tension and going back to center. I inhale the second time, pull, 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 exhale, easing on the tension and bringing my hands back to center. We're gonna do this 2 more times. Inhale up, exhale down, inhale forward, exhale back, last one, inhale up, exhale down, inhale forward, exhale back. I'd like for you to rub your hands together, and you'll create heat in your hands and put that heat wherever you feel like you need it. It could be your shoulders, your stomach, your knees. For me right now, it's my chest. Before my part is over, I'd like to give some advice about the unfortunate reality that we all live in. We can't stop people from making assumptions. We can't stop people from profiling us based on our skin and clothes, and we sure as hell can't stop people from thinking we're suspicious and dangerous, because that's just outside of our control. The only thing we can control is ourselves. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but I want you to trust me when I say this. It's life-saving. The self-control needed to make the decisions that we won't regret. And how do we harness this life-saving self-control ability? It's actually very simple. We breathe. With breath, we keep ourselves safe. With breath, we can smile and wave so that we can get home and wake up to see another day. As long as we breathe, we can still find peace. And that's my part.
Thank you so much, Moises. Again, anything that stands out to you, jot it down. You can remember it. For me, every time I hear this piece, I think about my own son. I am raising a black boy myself. And when you talk about how you were this cute kid and then all of a sudden you realize that you weren't, and it's because of how people reacted to you, and then watching the news and seeing folks that look like you, and then you realize, oh my goodness, I am a threat. And with that being said, I just love that you are using the breath to help shift yourself out of that. And that's exactly why I teach my 8-year-old to breathe. We've been doing this work for 4 years because when he's stopped by the police, he can take a breath in, and he can exhale, and he can make it home. Because when we activate that vagus nerve, it sends a message to our brain that we're calm. And most of the times we're not doing anything wrong, so we're defensive. But when you breathe, you can come back and say, okay, yes sir, no sir, let me get home to my mom, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my grandma, my grandpa, you know. Yeah, anything standing out to anybody?
Yeah, I like one of Moises' first line that I'm almost 20 and I don't know what an adult is. And I got news for you, nobody knows what an adult is. I think how you kind of have this duality in your piece that people see you one way, but in reality you're completely different and you love fantasy and all that. And no matter what, as long as you're true to yourself, that's your adulthood, right? That's who you are as an adult.
Yes, as long as you're true to yourself, that's your adulthood.
Ooh, okay. Dang.
Yes.
Right. For me, honestly, well, you guys may be able to tell this, but that's my baby brother. And he's only 8 years younger than me, right? And that means that I had a long time to exist before him and that I felt like I raised him. I changed diapers, I gave bottles, I gave baths. And to think that at any point, the baby that I helped raise could be seen as anything other than the beautiful baby that he is heartbreaking for me. It's hard for me not to get like emotional every time I hear him share that, because it's absurd to me that he could be perceived as anything other than the kind, loving baby that he's always been to me. Another thing that stands out to me that I really wanted to point out to all of you is that the tool that he taught today is called praying hands only because we live in the US and this is an international sign for praying, or at least for us here. But it's not for that. It's just about having your hands as a focal point for you to put that energy. And you need your hands palm to palm together in order to create that energy kind of like focus point and source. And that's what that's for. So I hope all of you who don't maybe identify as Christians or want to affiliate with anything that seems like a Christianity practice, that you're able to see this tool as just something that's supposed to be mindful body movement and not necessarily anything tied to any religious activities or practices.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Kylie, anything?
I always like the line where you talk about fantasy and like books and whatnot, because like I was really dumb and I could not read for the longest. And as soon as I got into reading, it kind of like changed my whole perspective of like, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? Oh, that makes me happy. This makes me happy. And just like going to there and like not having focus on reality, especially in my household, was really important to me, where I just didn't have to like face the fact of like, you know, my family's broke. You know, I have to go eat lunch food because it's like disgusting and our system doesn't care about us and stuff like that. So like reading is just like really important to me, so I always like that line.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kylie, because I'm sure a lot of folks can resonate with you. I wasn't the best reader, and but like you said, once you started to do it and you kept doing it, and then you start to go off into these stories, which would take you out of, you know, your reality. It's kind of like Sania watching TV. But what I love is that you kept reading, you kept doing it, and you graduated from high school, and you can call yourself, you can say you were dumb. You're not dumb. Y'all are not dumb if you're struggling to read.
Yeah.
Keep reading, keep doing it, and going into stories that can help maybe take your mind off of some of these things. We're living in a pandemic. There's so many people dying around us. So thank you so much for sharing that. And thank y'all for sharing the tools. I hope that y'all attach to something that you can do to start shift yourself out of this, okay? With that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to Kylie, who's gonna share a piece that she wrote. You will get to know her even more, and she'll teach us another tool.
Coolio. Hi, I'm Kylie. I'm 20 years old. I'm an artist, a Taurus, and a bookworm. I am a teacher and a student. I'm an explorer looking for a lot of answers. My life dream is to create a space for POC kids where they can learn, speak, and be who they are without racing or competing with the next student in stereotypes. When you see me, you see pushed in eyebrows, you see blemish scars, and someone who's lost. What you don't see is I'm a proud sibling of 8. Don't see I have scars caused by mommy and daddy issues with no amount of cocoa butter or Vaseline I can remove. What stresses me out is work, school, and family responsibilities. The thought of making money in a place that doesn't make me happy, not having enough time for school, being second mommy eats at me sometimes. I'm at an age where there's a lot of transitioning happening and no guide. No transition guide into the next grade, out of the pandemic, into a new home. I take care of myself by hanging around my boyfriend and siblings. Around them, I can be goofy, be dramatic, and even problematic, and know they're not going anywhere. And sometimes I can focus on an art project because it forces my mind to connect with my body, and those are the 2 things that I can harm when I'm stressed. Something I've also been doing lately is wearing my Apple Watch. It tells me I should breathe, and breathing helps with my anxiety. When I feel weird tingling things in my body, I know I should do a shakedown and breathe. Today, I'm gonna teach a different tool that you can actually do in public, unlike the shakedown, because that's a lot of movement and kind of weird to do in public. So I'm gonna be teaching the 4 for 4 tool. You simply have to breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, and hold that for 4 counts, and we do that 4 times. So now I'll lead you. So you'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4.
Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4.
Do you want to explain the thingy first? Or do I go into my second piece? You said you were going to explain the body and mind stuff and biology stuff that I don't get.
Yes. So the 4 for 4, and just first of all, just notice how your body feels. I know for me, I feel a little lighter in my head area. Sometimes you may feel tingly, and sometimes you may feel nothing, and that's okay, because this work takes practice. You gotta keep doing it. Self-care is messy. You mess up, you start over again. It's okay. But when we flood our body with oxygen, it activates our vagus nerve in our bellies. It sends a message to our brain that we're calm and we're okay. And y'all, this vagus nerve, everybody's got one. You got a vagus nerve. And it touches your heart, your spleen, your kidneys, all these things. And it goes all the way here. And it says you're okay. So when you're not feeling so good, do it. There's biology behind it, okay? Yeah, so thank you so much. I know you have something else you want to add.
Yeah, so I would consider myself a social justice ally. With advocating, being an ally, and being front line, sometimes it's mentally exhausting. We have to be selfish, and when I say selfish, I mean self-care or care of oneself. We can't be heroes and strong for others without self-care to get us there. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kylie. You know, I love these art shares because we get to know each other. Let's give Kylie a little. Yeah. We get to know each other. We write these pieces and we learn things about each other, and we've learned that Kylie is a social justice activist. Not only that, but she's helping take care of her family and her siblings, and I just love that you're finding ways to take care of yourself, because you have a community out there that needs you. And I know that there are folks that are watching. You have some of the same responsibilities, and that's why it's important that you take a breath, you pause, you take a walk, you jump in a trampoline like me, or you go off into those books like Moises, because you're very important to your community. So that's what stood out to me about your piece. And I love that you're using your Apple Watch to breathe. A lot of y'all out there got Apple Watches. Some don't. That app comes up, take a breath. And there's so many free apps out there where it reminds you to take a breath. So, anybody else, anything that stood out to you?
Something that stands out to me was the part where Kylie mentions acting as the mother of maybe like younger siblings or just kids in general. Having to take on the role of parent even though you aren't the parent, that is a very unique experience for someone who hasn't like made the decision to have children of their own, and they're just there and they need support and love and care, and maybe the parents are busy or they aren't capable of providing that sort of love and care, so you have to step in and provide it yourself. And it's a different type of responsibility that someone in their teens isn't really ready for.
Yeah, and especially during a pandemic, right? There were so many parents that had to continue to work as young people were at home and having to do school. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that one of your lines about one thing that stresses you out is that having to work in a place that doesn't make you happy. I think that's very relatable to everybody. Nobody wants to work in a place and make money, but you're not happy at the end of the day. But you talked a lot about your wants and your vision and how you want to affect your community. And so I think anybody with a clear vision and a plan, kind of like that you laid out, I mean, if you follow that, I mean, you can go anywhere. So I love that.
My favorite line in your piece is definitely that you use art as a way to connect your body and your mind, and then you emphasize that those are the things we harm the most when we are stressed, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean like forms of self-harm that are visible to others, but just straight up our body carries stress and carries trauma inside of it. And if we're not doing anything to express it, we're just letting it build up. And it does cause sickness. It does cause illness. We know that there are studies that prove that. And just, I love to draw, I love to write, and I think that's a beautiful release. Another thing that's hilarious to me is I never thought you would admit to not having been able to read. When one of the things we know about you is that you are a bookworm, and it just reminds me of like struggling into like 3rd grade before I could finally read, and then being in love with books once I was able to access them the way others could. So I think it's just amazing to see how it might have started as a struggle and ended up being like your safe haven, and that's an option for a lot of us. Yeah.
Yes, that is an option.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much for participating with us and practicing with us. I know sometimes if this is not something that you normally do, it can be weird. But so I'm going to say thank you that you are practicing with us. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Sania, who is going to share her narrative and teach another tool.
Yeah, so I'm going to teach you guys a tool called Heart Breath. It's something that us in IGF came up with, and it's kind of a fun, funky tool. But for me, I use this tool when I'm in what I call anxious paralysis. So for me, my anxiety shows up when I have a long to-do list because I have troubles prioritizing tasks. So I tend to think way too much about what I need to do, when to start, deadlines, how to start, and then I just get so overwhelmed by these swirling thoughts that I become paralyzed. I don't want to do anything. I just kind of freeze, and I shift to some sort of mind-numbing activity like scrolling through Facebook or playing a dumb game on my phone, and then at the end of the day, nothing gets done, right? I just wasted so much time and anxious energy worrying rather than doing. And so that list doesn't get, done. It's just put off to the next day, and it just becomes this cycle of anxious paralysis. So what I like to do is use heart breath to break that kind of bad habit. Heart breath actually uses mindfulness, and mindfulness is a practice of moment-by-moment awareness. It allows you to stay focused and grounded and really just focus one thought at a time so you can push forward. So for mindfulness, I just kind of like to start by placing my hands on my chest and really feel your heart beating. And just take note, is it beating fast or slow or steady, or maybe it's beating arrhythmic? And just focusing all that attention on your beating heart distracts your brain from worry. And then on your next breath, we're going to take a deep inhale in, reaching up to the sky. Inhale. And we're going to exhale slowly back to chest. Just like that. And remember, taking those deep breaths calms your brain from worry. So we're going to do it again, and this time you're going to count to 3 in your head. I'll count out loud for you. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. We're going to do this 2 more times. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. One more time. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. To chest. Good. And you can kind of drop your arms at this point. So you might be feeling a calmness over your body, but we really want to shift that energy into an activated readiness, because we still got stuff to do, right? So I like to start by kind of rolling my head and neck and shoulders. Just roll everything out. And I like to kind of take that into a bounce. Bounce, bounce.
You usually do this standing.
Should
we stand and
I
bounce
forgot
it?
that I did that.
Yeah.
Let's stand up.
So you on your feet, and
so yeah, I like to start standing up and roll my head and neck and shoulders, and just take that roll into kind of a bounce, bounce, bounce. And then you want to take this bounce into a shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your limbs, shake your body, shake your booty, shake it all, right? And so we're shaking because shaking releases your stress hormone. You want to get all that stress out of your body, right? So shake it off, shake, shake, shake it off, right? So Just kind of, after you're done shaking, just kind of take note of your body and how you're feeling. For me, usually I kind of feel reinvigorated. I feel like more energy coming into my body, and so I'm just ready to accomplish what I need to accomplish next. So yeah, that was heart breath, so thanks for doing that with me.
Thank you so much, Sania. And give her a little snap. Yeah, so I would like, including you all out there, raise your hand if you've ever felt like Sania, where you've had way too much to do, but it felt overwhelming and didn't do it.
I could have too little to do and it'll still feel overwhelming.
I know we got some hands raised in the audience. And that's what stands out to me the most about what you said, Sania. Like, I so resonate with your piece. As a mom and a wife and having 2 jobs, I'm like, I got so much to do, I'm just going to sit here for a while. Yeah, and I'm sure as students, like, have Kylie as a student, or when, you know, both of you young people, was there ever a time in school where you were just like, anxious paralysis has come over?
I think during the pandemic mainly, like, we're in front of a computer for so long, and like, yeah, we're the generation of technology, but like, it's unhealthy to sit in front of a computer for 8 hours a day. Yeah. And so yeah, you would like, my teachers, I'm sorry, but like, I would scroll through TikTok. If I'm gonna be looking at a screen, I'm gonna go through TikTok the entire time and learn not so much true facts on TikTok all day, then no, I'm not gonna understand anything in school. So it's just like knowing that, like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be doing this one thing, but like, my body's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. For me, there are like times where I wouldn't be able to do anything unless I was just constantly screaming to myself, move. Where I wasn't physically capable of moving unless I heard the constant command in my head, out of my mouth. So I'd be like, move, 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 as I'm like moving clothes out of the way, or like writing down stuff on a piece of paper, because my brain and my body just wouldn't move otherwise.
I know I definitely can relate to that. Just like Natalia, having a family of my own, having dogs, all the stuff, it's just someone needs something constantly. Like, there isn't a second of the day where it doesn't feel like there's something that needs to be done. And I think it just makes it worse. And even when you do sit still, you probably sit with the guilt of like, I should be doing something right now instead of sitting here. So you don't even enjoy not doing the thing. And I think that's probably the part that resonates with me the most, is the fact that it is anxious paralysis. It's not peaceful paralysis. It's not resting paralysis. It's anxious. So you're suffering through this not actively doing thing at the same time. So that definitely stands out.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, I am going to show you a tool, and it's called Energy Breath. And I decided to do energy breath because we just talked about it. We all have times where we're tired or overwhelmed, and you may need a little energy. And I love this tool. So I mentioned I have an 8-year-old son and I have a 10-year-old daughter. And oftentimes in the morning, 6 a.m., time to get up, they need a little bit of energy. And what I love about this tool is once you create the energy, you can rub it and place it on a place that you need it. For example, there was a night when my daughter and I, she had a headache. And so I didn't do the energy breath to give her energy, but I did it to create some positive energy for her to place in her head. And not saying that every time you do this, this will happen, but this particular night, it did. Her headache eased away after a while, and she was able to fall asleep. So with that being said, I'm going to show you first, and then I'll have you all join me in it. But you stand on your feet, and you stand with your feet shoulder width apart. And what you're going to do is, it's kind of like this bounce that Sania taught us, where you kind of do this, but you add your arms. And I'll show you as you inhale. So you inhale up, exhale, like this. Inhale, exhale, okay? So it's fast. So if you feel like, this is a little too much, it's okay. Sit down, get up, try it again. So I will have you all join me, and you inhale as you bring your arms up, and exhale, okay? So I don't know what's happening. Is our cameras okay?
Zigzag.
All right, okay. Here we go. Everybody ready? Feet shoulder width apart. And go ahead. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Now be still. Close your eyes. And just notice. Notice what your body may be feeling. Now I want you to rub your hands together. Rub your hands together, creating positive energy. And I want you to think about where you need this. Okay, place it where you need it. It could be on your eyes because you've been looking at Zoom all day. It could be on your head because you have a headache. It could be on your heart because you just saw something that didn't make you feel very good. Place it where you need it. I always go for my eyes because I watch the computer a lot. Just hold it there. You can count to 5 in your head. All right, everybody, deep breath in. And then drop your arms back to your side. Bring your attention back to the screen if you closed your eyes. Yeah, so that's energy breath. Y'all can have a seat again. I want to say thank you for joining us and practicing with us. I want to remind you, I just taught energy breath. Ruth taught a simple one, smell the rose, blow out the candle. Sania taught a tool, heart breath, mindfulness, with a shakedown in it. She kind of taught you 3 practices in one. You can always break them up. And then Moises did praying hands. Again, it's not about religion, it's palm to palm. It's focusing on mindful physical movement. And then Kylie shared with us the 4 for 4, flooding your body with oxygen, activating that vagus nerve, sending a message to your brain that you're calm and okay. I know today is about self-care and self-discipline. So I'm going to encourage you to take one of these tools and take care of yourself. And if you mess up, it's okay. Find the self-discipline to do it again. With that being said, we are the Irreducible Grace Foundation, and thank you so much.
Well, we certainly want to thank Irreducible Grace Foundation. Darlene, the CEO, Darlene Fry, has an excellent group. I just actually ran into her. We had a quick discussion again. So you guys are awesome. It is really great to hear the different perspectives. I know that ages are very diverse, and that's what we need to hear. The country needs to hear you guys. Minnesota needs to hear you guys, and the Twin Cities needs to hear from all of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Right now, we're going to take a 5-minute break to do an exchange. We have coming up another awesome young lady in the Twin Cities that's going to help us talk about self-care, discipline, and knowing how to deal with stress and anxieties and all the things that we all suffer from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. We're doing the essence of organic movements, yoga by Anissa. Anissa means woman, without hardship.
My name is Anissa. I am a yoga teacher based out of St. Paul. I am here to tell you a little bit about myself and my personal journey here with yoga. I started my yoga journey almost 10 years ago now. It's crazy to even think. I was 19 years old, so not too far from where you guys are now. I had moved away for college. I went to St. Cloud, and every morning I would wake up feeling weird, just weird. And I didn't necessarily understand what it was. So I started doing some research, and I realized that I was suffering from anxiety. So I started to do a little bit more research, and tried to figure out some tips to help relieve my anxiety, and that's when I stumbled upon yoga. So here I am sitting in my room just trying to figure out how to feel better, and I just grab out my laptop and I look up yoga. So I started my journey with Yoga with Adrienne. She is an instructor based off of YouTube. I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and it worked very well for me. I seen a decrease in my stress and my anxiety. I was just an all-around better person, and I could feel it from the inside out. So fast forward about 3 years ago, I heard about a yoga class, and it was a trap yoga class. So it was yoga to like hip-hop music, R&B music, and I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. So she was just starting out. Her name is Gabrielle Roberts. She created this like modern form of yoga, and she named her studio 612 Jungle. So in her first class, she had like a huge warehouse out of Minneapolis, and I went to the class. The class was over full, so everyone was just excited as I was. We get in there, and I am just intrigued by this woman. She just had like a certain finesse about her. She was confident. All the things that I felt like I didn't have at that time, I saw in her. So I was very intrigued. I started going to her classes maybe once a week. I ended up getting pregnant and still went to her classes because I just enjoyed her classes that much, and they just made me feel better every time I left. So maybe fast forward 3 years ago, not 3 years ago, I'm sorry. Fast forward about the beginning of this year, she decided to host her own yoga teacher training. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is perfect. So I signed up for her yoga teacher training, and the rest was history. Yoga, to me, is life. Yoga is more than just a practice, it's a lifestyle. And when I say it's a lifestyle, it's about taking what you learn from the map and applying it in your real life. I know you're probably wondering, what is yoga? Yoga is derived from a Sanskrit word, and Sanskrit is based out of South Asia, and it means yoke. And what yoke means is it means union. Yoga is the union between breath and your body. When I first started my yoga journey, my yoga teacher really instilled in us breath, movement, and drishti. So breath is just breath, breathing in and out. There is a certain way that you do it with yoga. Movement is movement, regular movement. But with yoga, you're moving with purpose. Every pose that you're doing has a benefit, or there's a reason that you will be doing that pose. And drishti is your gaze. So it's what you're focusing on. And you can take that off of the mat and learn that drishti is just focus in real life as well. So I'm going to help you set up your own foundation for yoga. So as I was saying, breath is one of the most important parts of yoga. So I'm going to have everybody get into a seated position, a position that's comfortable for you. You can have your legs out in front of you. You can have your legs in butterfly position. You can cross your legs, whatever works for you. So just take a deep breath in and blow out through your mouth. Deep breath in through your nose. Deep breath out through your mouth. I'm going to have you practice that for a second. Close your eyes and focus inward. Focus on your breath. You use your breath to get into your body. And what that means is you close your eyes, you breathe, and you take a body scan. So when your eyes are closed, you can't really focus on too much other than the inside of your eyelids. So you just take that deep breath in, that deep breath out, and you do a body scan. I like to do these in the morning just to see how I'm feeling for the day. So you might take a deep breath in and ask yourself, how does my head feel today? Am I feeling fuzzy? Am I feeling present? Am I tired? You move down to your shoulders. Am I feeling some tightness in my shoulders? Am I feeling relaxed? You move down to your arms. Check in with your arms. See how your arms are feeling. Take a deep breath. Check in with your hips. See how your hips are feeling. Another deep breath and check in with your legs. See how your body is feeling. You use your body every day. Why not check in on it and see how it's doing? So once you've got your breath down and your body's warmed up, you can move into practice. So I'm going to show you a few poses that I do every morning before I go to work, before I go to school, whatever it is I have to do, I like to check in with my body every morning. So I'm going to have everybody get on your feet. And you're making sure that you're maintaining that breath, because your breath is going to be the fuel of your practice. Anytime you're in a space where you feel like you may be lost in your practice, just bring yourself back to your breath. So I'll have everybody just stand anywhere you can. Take a deep breath in. Arms go up. Exhale, arms go down. Inhale, arms up. Right here, this is called a mountain pose. So this is something that you can do every morning as a full body stretch. As soon as you get out of the bed in the morning, you wiggle your fingers, try to touch the sky, and you get that full body stretch. And this also improves your circulation for the day. So as you exhale, do a forward fold. And touch your feet if you can. If you can't, it's not a problem. That's not what yoga is about. Yoga is about you and what you can do. You meet yourself where you're at on that mat. So while you're down, you're making sure you're still engaged in your breath. You're still breathing in and out. Because as I was saying before, that breath is your fuel. It's going to help you move through this practice. You're going to inhale, bring your hands to your knees, and extend your neck forward. This is going to be a halfway lift. This is also a really great stretcher for your back, as well as it improves circulation. Next, I'm going to have you bring your hands in front of you. Bring your feet back if the space allows. And you're going to lower down. And as you lower down, you exhale. You inhale, peel yourself forward. This is cobra. So you're shining your heart forward. Take a couple breaths here. Check in with your body again. See how your back is feeling. When you're ready, exhale and bring your hips back for downward dog. This may be a pose that you have seen before. This is a very popular pose here in yoga. Downward dog is a very great stretcher, and it also stimulates your blood flow. So you take a couple breaths here. And when you're ready, look forward and walk your hands to the front of your mat or to the front to meet your feet. And then you inhale. You come back to a forward fold. You're stretching again. And then you exhale. And inhale and back up to mountain pose. So what I just showed you was called Sun Salutation A. Those sequence of poses are something that you can do every single morning. And it'll take nothing but 5 minutes just to get out of your bed. And the benefits are amazing. Not only does it strengthen your spine, you get better digestion, better blood flow. And to speak, I know, we're in school right now. We're dealing with anxieties. We're dealing with trying to figure out who you are. And yoga is a practice that will bring you closer to yourself. It will help you relieve those day-to-day stressors, relieve that anxiety by just taking that 5 minutes in the morning to do those stretches that I showed you. So I'm going to show you one more time in more of a sequence form. So this is Sun Salutation A. So inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Gaze in between your knees, and you're still focusing on that breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bring your hands to the mat and lower down. Inhale, shine your heart forward for Cobra. Exhale, send your hips back for Downward Dog. Walk your hands forward, halfway lift, forward fold, mountain pose. So I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. And I'd like to remind you to remember to check in with yourself. Some of those key things that you need to remember when you're on your mat is that your journey is your journey. Yoga is a practice that helps you become okay with your journey. You don't need anything for yoga but yourself and your mat, and you don't even need your mat. So there should be no excuse while you're not practicing yoga. This is something that will benefit you in the here and now and in the long run. Thank you.